Today is a massive day for WWE news, and today what's going on, everybody? Welcome to a special live episode. We are live. We are going to be discussing the CM Punk interview. Let me pull up my screen. Let me fix this. All right, guys. So hopefully everybody is having a great day. Actually, let me move this over here. So this way I can monitor their chat. Hopefully everybody's having a good day. CM Punk's speaking out. And goodness gracious, was this a very, very interesting interview? I already read it, but I'm going to talk to you guys about it. We're going to go over it. CM Punk's new interview with ESPN. Hopefully everything is working good on the stream. I haven't streamed in a while. So we're going to talk about this. We're going to discuss this at large. Hopefully everybody's having a good day. But yeah, this is interesting, right? CM Punk finally speaks out. Yesterday on social media, we get this really, really, really big hype about this interview being massive heat. CM Punk's going to have issues with the locker room. People are going to be upset about it. And I can't speak for anybody else, but I read this and I will be honest with you guys. I have no idea in what world somebody could be upset about this, because it seems to me that Punk is very accountable for what happened at the media scrum. And it seems to me that maybe perhaps CM Punk has become very, very apologetic about it. But also, it seems to me that a lot of this was hyped up by the wrestling media. Yeah, the wrestling media. The people that are getting these reports and they're reporting on things and they're talking about things, making it look like it is 1,000 times worse than it really is. And I'm not saying it's not bad. But this specific interview tells me that this is really not an issue. His interview with ESPN really didn't seem like a bad thing. But if you were on Twitter or social media beforehand, you would probably think it would be bad. And that's why we're going to talk about this, because I feel like there are a couple people in the wrestling dirt sheets that have decided to maybe exaggerate a lot of it. If you guys could do me a favor and click like, I'd greatly appreciate it. I like being live and I want to come back to doing more live streams and stuff like that. So if you guys could like that live stream, I'd greatly appreciate it. No, like I'd really, really appreciate it. But yeah, this is the interview. Mark Raimondi, he is an ESPN writer. And basically, there's a little bit of introduction, kind of just highlighting some things about Punk. You know, he was injured, things like that. Obviously, you can't forget that part because CM Punk was injured when everything went down. Hopefully, my audio levels and everything is working. Please tell me if it's not, because, again, I'm just trying to get back into the swing of things. But this is the CM Punk interview. And, again, a lot of people exaggerated it. A lot of people were, it seemed like people were kind of like, well, let's just face it. Let's just call it what it is, right? Nick Hausman, and we had, let's just take a look on Twitter, because I put out the tweet. I called it out. So Wade Keller originally came out. I am under the impression between now and Saturday that there's going to be something that comes out that media-wise that is not going to help matters probably. I don't mean to be cryptic, blah, 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 blah. Nick Hausman says, I believe I know what this is in reference to, and I would not jump to the conclusion there is going to be a big issue. I could be wrong. And the thing is, it seems like everybody kind of knew what was going to happen here. It seemed like Nick Hausman knew. That's why he says it's not really a big issue. But Wade Keller obviously drummed up a lot of interest in this ESPN interview, and for some reason, I don't see the drama. So, look, here's the crazy thing. It really starts with how it all went down. So on May 25th, 2022, Punk and Page were booked for a segment. Let me highlight this, sorry, so you guys can follow along. On May 25th, 2022, Punk and Page were booked for a promo segment in the ring on Dynamite. Page was the AEW champion then, and Punk would be his challenger at the next pay-per-view event, Double or Nothing, which was 4 days later. Punk said he and Page discussed backstage before the segment what they would say, much as Punk said he did for similar segments in the past with wrestlers such as MJF and Eddie Kingston. But when they got into the ring, according to Punk, Page strayed away from what they had agreed on. Okay. This was the promo. You talk a big game about workers' rights. Page said on television. Well, you've shown the exact opposite since you got here. I love this place. I care about this place. This is my home. And this Sunday at Double or Nothing, I will not be defending this championship against you. No, for the first time in my life, I'll be defending All Elite Wrestling from you. The article goes on to say it was a bit confusing to most fans, especially the first part, since Punk's character was a babyface, a good guy, as was Page. But to the naked ear, it just sounded like pro wrestling trash talk, part of the story. Punk said it was not that, and it confronted Page about it when they returned backstage. So if you want to know how all of this stuff actually started, it started because Hangman Page went against what they spoke about and took a shot on CM Punk. Hangman Page was shooting on CM Punk. And then, according to Punk, Hangman Page said he did what he did, or he said what he did, because Punk had AEW wrestler and coach Colt Cabana fired from the company, or at least tried to. Punk and Cabana had a very public falling out years ago before Punk arrived in AEW. That included multiple lawsuits. Punk said he told Page that that was not true and that Cabana was still working for the company. Now, keep in mind, this type of stuff was reported because we did find out at some point that Cabana was obviously not being used on TV. We all kind of knew that. And there was obviously reports at the time that the Elite were upset about CM Punk getting Colt Cabana, their friend, fired. Which that wasn't the case, right? We all saw that Colt Cabana was still there. Tony Khan said in multiple media appearances that Cabana's absence was because he was reassigned to work for the Ring of Honor wrestling promotion, which obviously we know Tony Khan bought ROH. Cabana wrestled for ROH multiple times between March 2022 and November 2022, as well as on overseas tour to promote AEW's video game. That all pretty much aligns pretty accurately. Punk told ESPN that he has no relationship with Cabana, but that he never asked Khan to take Cabana or anyone else's jobs. But others in the company, including the Elite, believe Punk did indeed do that, per sources. Page was evidently confident enough to bring it up unexpectedly on television. This is where things get interesting. Tony Khan and Page were unavailable to comment for this article, according to AEW. When reached out for comment via email, Colt Cabana told ESPN they should go through AEW for everything. Omega and the Jacksons declined to comment via their agent, Barry Bloom. Page's comments during the segment, a shoot in wrestling terms, meaning not planned or part of the show, infuriated Punk. So much so that he considered not going through with the match out of concern that Page might intentionally attempt to hurt him. But Punk did go through with it and was booked to beat Page to win the AEW title on May 29th, 2022. And I proceed to have what I think is a garbage match because I'm trying to protect myself on stuff instead of actually just working and trying to put on the best performance I can. This was said by CM Punk. I'm keeping an eye out. He chopped me in the mouth one time and I'm like, okay, did you do that on purpose? You chipped my tooth and I'm like, all right, should I give him a receipt? It changes the dynamic. It poisoned everything for me and it made it all really, really ugly. And that was what set all of this off. And here we are over a year later and ain't shit been done about it. So it seems to me that the real issue here was Hangman Page and CM Punk had basically sprung into something so much bigger than it should have been. I'm going to tell you guys who I blame for all of this in just a second. So we all know CM Punk got injured. That's kind of what it was talking about. But then in return to television on August 18th, CM Punk called out Hangman Page during a segment in the ring without anyone knowing he would do it. So CM Punk went away from what was scripted to call out Hangman Page. Things escalated after Punk beat Moxley. We all know this. This is where everything got freaking crazy. We all saw the media scrum. It is what it is. And then basically, we all know. You saw this media scrum. I don't feel like I have to really recap what was said about it. But Punk said that he had regrets about what transpired in the media scrum and how has since apologized to Khan for it. He said his and Tony Khan's relationship is now great. Keep in mind, this is important. About a month or so ago, there was reports that CM Punk and AEW were not on good terms. CM Punk and Tony Khan were not on good terms. There was all this talk when CM Punk went to go visit WWE and Impact that he was looking at ways to get fired. These were reports that came out, but this entire time that actually doesn't seem to be accurate. So again, I think there is a huge issue with the media here. Select dirt sheets coming out. And you know, really, I'm not trying to promote Fightful because I don't have any affiliation with Fightful, but Fightful seems to have reported a lot of this, just so you guys know. If you follow like wrestling news, like a lot of this stuff is not foreign to me because if you go based on what Fightful said at the time, this pretty much aligns with what Fightful had reported. With that being said, for the other dirt sheets and the other reporters, there was a lot of people who came out springing along some drama that just didn't really seem to exist. So Punk obviously says, he says everything's fine. He apologized to Tony Khan. The first thing I said to Tony when I sat down with him and spoke to him after it was, man, I'm really sorry I put you in that position. I apologize for the scrum, but when you've watched that scrum, you're looking at a very, very frustrated guy who had told people that's not the first time he heard it all. That's not the first time he heard all of that. It's not the first time lawyers were told all that. And I was just looking for something to be done and nothing got done. So if you want something done right, you got to do it yourself. And I just didn't approach it in the right manner, but tension was high. I was very, very pissed. I pretty much knew that I had just injured myself again. I was hurt and I was disappointed. It's very easy for me to say that I regret that and I handled it the wrong way 100%. Again, being accountable. CM Punk is being accountable. After Punk left the news conference, there was a physical altercation involving Punk, his longtime friend and AEW producer Ace Steel, and Omega and the Jacksons, according to multiple reports. No one has discussed exactly what transpired, and Omega said on the Sessions podcast that we can't say anything legally. AEW launched a third-party investigation. These were things that were also reported, which was since completed, according to ESPN. Khan announced on the September 7th episode that Punk's AEW World title and the AEW World Trios title were all vacated. We all remember this as well. Khan didn't mention their names, just that the titles no longer had champions. There was little to no mention of Omega and the Jacksons on AEW television until November. So keep that in mind. AEW basically went into the situation where they were refraining from talking about it. Punk said that he doesn't like saying no comment, but we are trying to move past what happened that night specifically. I don't think what happened was a big deal. Punk said this has happened in the last 10 months in hockey, basketball, baseball, and just about every other sport, and it's covered and it's gone the next day. I think because I have injured my tricep and I have been out for so long, I think it has been exasperated. I think it's been exasperated by people spreading lies about the whole thing, and when reality, my attitude is, well, shit happens. And CM Punk is... CM Punk is basically just saying that it was over with and the media made it something bigger. Now, the thing is, if you guys ever listen to the way I cover this story, by the way, I never took sides on either one because I don't take sides based on he say, she say rumors, right? I don't do that. So when everything went down, I said, if Punk is fired, the Elite got to be fired. If the Elite are fired, CM Punk's got to be fired. Everybody involved should have the same amount of punishment. And the reason for that is because clearly, if everything went down the way it was said, my whole stance was that everybody's in the wrong, right? And it's very hard to pick sides on rumors of he say, she say, because you had so many different sides to the argument where I don't think it's fair to make a judgment on somebody from he say, she say. Nobody knew the full story of what happened. I always believed that part of this was part of a work, because before everything happened, we talked about AEW trying to blur the lines. At the end of the day, that's what's important. I see somebody mentioned in the chat, I am the wrestling media. I am not wrestling media. I don't go to media scrums. I don't work side-by-side PR or anything with these companies. I don't get their PR statements. I don't work in media. I'm a content creator. Literally, I'm just a dude giving my opinion on wrestling stories. I talk about the shows, the booking, the reports, the news, the rumors. I am not wrestling media. I am not treated as wrestling media. There is no way in hell I could be considered wrestling media when I am not associated with any of these companies on that level. I am not fed information from these companies. I'm not any of that. I'm not wrestling media. I'm a YouTube content creator. I am literally a dude who turns on my camera and just gives my opinions on things. So that's why I was easily able to identify, because I talk about the different reports and different stories. I was very quickly able to identify which people have, which I noticed this. If you go back and watch the old videos, you'll see this. This company or this website reported this, and this other company or this other journalist reported this. And I would talk about it in my videos being like, there is so much he say, she say. There is so much 50-50 reporting on this. It is really hard to believe any of it, right? And the last time we saw something like this was with the Cody Rhodes stuff. When Cody Rhodes left AEW, there was a lot of mixed reporting. And let's just call it what it is. I think people have an agenda in regards to reporting, and I think that is very obvious when you look at this. Because again, a lot of what's being said on here was reported previously by Fightful. But it just seems like there's other people out there that exist. For some reason, they were trying to smear one side or the other. And then you're creating this division on social media because, well, this person who may have been reputable in the past is telling you, well, this is what happened. Somebody else is telling you this is what happened. One favors one side, the other favors the other side. Clearly, that's an issue. Clearly, that's an issue. That is not something like I'm making up or bullshitting. And this is why I say with dirt sheets, you got to be careful. You got to be careful, because I do feel like some people have an agenda. I really do believe some websites have an agenda. And maybe they're not doing it intentionally. Maybe they're not doing it maliciously. But for all you know, the people giving them that information could be pro-elite, and the other people could be given information that's pro-CM Punk to definitely not make people look good or make people look bad. And it's just crazy. We're going to skip over the Omega stuff because Omega basically kind of agreed. He kind of talked a little bit about it on the sessions. The important part is that I don't think anyone is happy that it happened or is proud that it happened or anything like that, Kenny Omega said. I think across the board, everyone thinks it's a terrible situation that was unnecessary. Punk said he has not had any conversations with Omega or the Jacksons since the incident, although he has tried. He said when he has reached out, he has gotten messages from lawyers saying, do not contact this person. Punk said he is unclear whether those responses came at the request of legal representatives of Omega and the Jacksons or a third party. Very interesting stuff. Very interesting stuff. But let's keep it going. Punk, though, said he had been told that using the saga on television and spinning it into some matches that would undoubtedly draw money won't happen. He resents that he's been painted as the bad guy in online reports when he feels he's just been defending himself. Punk said people in AEW locker room leaking things to wrestling media have contributed to the internal drama. That's literally what I've been saying. And the funny thing is, when you look at all of this, I feel like the media has definitely done a lot worse on the situation, and that's it. That's it. Look at these tweets. Just looking at Twitter, you can see what people are saying. Another case of clown wrestling media trying to get on that negative CM Punk clickbait. The media have definitely played a role into this. 1,000% they played a role into this. Where's the controversy in this article? Where is the controversy in this article? A day before the article, the interview drops, you would think I'm reading something to you that paints a bad picture on the Elite or CM Punk. And he's really just explaining and being accountable and apologizing for what he did. He's talking about what he did with Tony Khan. And the reality is, like, this is not, he's not smearing anybody. He's not doing any of that. And clearly at this stage of the game, people are smearing CM Punk's name, or they're smearing the Elite's name. They're doing this. It is so odd to me that is what has transpired over the last 9 months. Now, he says something very interesting. So I understand people want to say that, oh man, Punk is a dick. Well, yeah, because I'm defending myself, and I will always defend myself. I'm open to having a full-blown fucking sit-down, powwow discussion with everybody about it, but it hasn't happened yet, and it's not because of my lack of trying. Everything was exaggerated. Everything clearly smears one side. Not just CM Punk, because you got people trying to smear the Elite as well. But this entire thing really became massively popular and big and bullshit because of what? Because of what? Clicks, attention. I don't know. I don't know what these people's affiliation are with a wrestling company, but just so you guys know, like if you're in media, I can say this. I can say this because I'm not media, right? I've been invited to AEW, WWE, Impact, NXT. I've been invited to all kinds of shows, okay? I'm not giving information from these companies. I'm not doing anything like that. But I know that if a company is giving me perks to cover their show, there could potentially be a bias there. And I think maybe potentially some of these guys who are writing wrestling news articles could potentially have friendships and connections in the companies that they don't want to destroy. And therefore, they are using their platforms as a way to deliver a message that may or may not be accurate. Then after this, CM Punk begins to promote Collision. At no point, Punk said, did he consider not returning? That's a fun one, because I remember the articles that existed about CM Punk never returning back to wrestling. CM Punk wanting to be done with wrestling. CM Punk trying to leave AEW, requesting his release from AEW, trying to go to WWE. All of these different articles came out. We talked about them. Crazy. Can you guys tell me what's controversial about this article in the live chat? I'm curious. I didn't see anything controversial here. I don't see any of it being controversial. I don't. I thought for sure in some capacity we were getting ready to have a huge uproar about it, but I didn't see anything in that regard. CM Punk's media scrum, the first thing that he did was he went to Nick Hausman, and that immediately jumped everything crazy into this big ordeal. You know what all this comes down to? And I maintain this. I said this like 9 months ago. Whether they turn this into a storyline, whatever, right? Regardless of how they go about it. Clearly, they're promoting Collision. Clearly, they're building excitement. But I feel like in a sense, right now when I look at things with AEW, and I said this months ago, I think it comes down to Tony Khan. I like the guy. I think he's a great fan of pro wrestling. He's obviously got rich ties. He's money. He's got money, you know. I think this is a lot of Tony Khan's fault. I do. And I think it's Tony Khan's fault because when you look at my audio should not be low. Maybe turn up your audio. But when it comes to Tony Khan, he runs the company. And obviously CM Punk was apologetic for the media scrum and they're great and everything, you know what I mean? But I think deep down inside, really what it comes down to, unfortunately, is that this was an issue that happened before the media scrum. You had the media standing there, and obviously they're all benefiting from this. Let's not pretend like any person who talks about wrestling, whether it's content creators, journalists, whatever, we all benefited from the CM Punk drama. It's content, it's views, whatever. But deep down inside, what this comes down to is Tony Khan had a major issue backstage. And if everything is 100% legitimate, the way it's being explained here, it seems like a simple conversation could have fixed a lot of it. Because it's like a trickle-down effect. It starts with the Cabana stuff, Cabana, Hangman Page, then it trickles down into the media. You got to wonder who's leaking stuff to the media, right? Very interesting. But I feel like this was not controversial. And I feel like if we continue to look, I think a lot of people were expecting so much worse. A lot of people were expecting so much worse. I feel like this was blown up, exaggerated. I think there was a lot involved in this, and yeah. Not fair for AEW to have to deal with this, by the way. It's not fair. But you gotta take ownership of this stuff, man. This is clearly an issue. This is clearly one of those things where a lot of people were talking and a lot of people, he say, she say, a lot of people building up hype for this interview as if it was going to be damaging to AEW. There wasn't any new information. He wasn't taking shots at anybody. I don't know. That's weird. No, people did not expect worse because they wanted worse. People expected worse because people with credentials who handle media relations, who write articles and who have had great standing with their reporting, coming out and building up hype for something, making it look a lot worse and being vague and being cryptic about it. That's the problem. Come on, man. That's a problem. That's a problem. People were trying to find drama and search for drama in a spot that doesn't exist. And the reality is, it's not there. Now, as far as why the Elite and Hangman don't want to talk to Punk, I think they're going to turn into television stuff. I mean, we'll see. But anyways, my friends, I appreciate you all stopping by. We'll bring more live streams to the channel. When do you guys want live streams? You got to let me know. You got to let me know for sure. People listen to certain media because those media say what they want to hear. Well, that's not how media should work. I mean, when you're a media company, when you're a news company, you're supposed to deliver the news, not deliver what people want to hear. You got to give people the truth. You can't sit there and spew lies and smear campaigns because that don't work. And that's not just wrestling. That's everything. Sports, media, politics. It doesn't matter. People forgot what media is and journalism. People forgot about that. So the reality is, I feel like this was all some bullshit, and it's super unfortunate that there's a lot of bullshit. but that's the reality. Anyways, Collision is this Saturday. We'll see how it goes. Hopefully all goes well. Hopefully AEW gets past this. They gotta get past this. They do. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for stopping by. I will be back with more live streams. I love when you guys are joining me live. These are fun. I like to talk and read your guys' stuff. But yeah, I'll see you guys next time.